Ooh, something that gets me just as excited as this little leopard is what Tayla has up in the Mara. She has bat-eared fox. It's not something I get to see very often. It's pretty amazing. Let's head back up that way.
Firstly, we've got giraffes silhouetted against the sky, and you can see they're staring down into the long grass. I don't know if we're going to get a view of them, but we will try in a minute. We will move up a bit closer, but there was a pair of bat-eared foxes, which were very, very, very precious. They did duck into the long grass. They're quite sort of shy creatures, but that's lovely. It's mom and giraffe calf. Let me move up a little bit further forward. Let's have a quick look around. How cool is that? I think they're denning actually right here. Want to have a look around? Yeah, they are. This is where they live. This is their home. This is very cool. I've never seen a bat-eared fox den in my life, but now I have. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 entrances that I can see, which are very cool. And they're tiny, tiny, tiny. I actually can't believe how small the little burrows are. That's incredible. And I don't know how deep they would go down in the ground. I mean, I can't imagine they'd have a massive den sort of network. It is good that they have a couple of exits and entrances. This also could have belonged to a group of banded mongoose, could have lived here at one point too. Maybe some snakes, a tortoise could have gone in. But other than that, not really much other than a couple of mongoose species and a few smaller mammals that would live in there, very small. Let me see if we can find them again. They just shot off into the long grass. We will get them. I don't know how you would call a bat-eared fox. I'm just concentrating so I don't miss them, because these little pockets of long grass and they hide away so easily. But that's really cool that that den is right here. Louise thinks she's funny today and she says you call them on the telephone. There. I've got them. Let me try and figure this out. In there? Yes, I got you. I see you. My eyes are working again. I'm so chuffed with that. So there's a little bat-eared fox. I don't think it realizes that I can see it. I'm too good for you, bat-eared fox. I spotted you. And you know what gave it away? It was actually the black on the ears, sort of that dark inside. I couldn't, if it didn't have that, I don't think I would have seen it at all. That very sort of tawny color, or the lighter color that they are, hide very, very well in the grass. But that sort of black, it does break up the body slightly, but I just thought, that doesn't look right. Something is wrong there. And it even popped its head down lower in the grass as well. They are such incredibly cute little creatures. I would love to see their youngsters. That's going to be my next sort of goal. I actually don't know when their breeding season is. Let me have a look while you stare at it. Sorry, I'm trying to pull books out, so I'm moving the car around. I just want to very quickly find bat-eared foxes in my book, because I'd like to know when they breed. I'm sure you're probably all a lot quicker than me on the computer than trying to page through books. I'll get there eventually. I'm going to find it. Almost there. I'm going passing wild dogs, jackals. No, surely it'll be bat-eared foxes. Yes, this is what we want. Now, breeding. Reproduction, there we go. Can we see the other one? I can just see... Oh, they're both in there. I think they are. Now, see, Nak, you're wondering, what on earth do bat-eared foxes hunt? I think it is off just to the right of that one. They eat a variety of different things. They'll eat small little rodents. I think it is, yes. Is it? No, it's a rock. They will eat insects, so they'll also eat the alates. They will eat grasshoppers. They will eat a variety of sort of invertebrates. I'm not sure if they eat fruit like jackals, though, if they can. I can't imagine. I'm pretty sure jackals are one of the few creatures that can bounce between sort of having a complete diet of just rodents and scrub hairs and scavenging and that type of thing, and then completely moving on to fruit if there's nothing else around. Okay, so they could, oh, here we go. So it says that they could potentially breed twice a year, which is quite interesting. That would, of course, depend on what's going on in the environment, however. So if there's good rains, Obviously that means that there's going to be lots of prey species around for them, which would be ideal for them. And then their gestation is very short. It's just 2 months. And what time of the year? So here they talk about Zimbabwe. And that it's between October and November. Let's see if they say any. Here we go. Serengeti. That's a bit closer to where we are. About the same. Okay, so around about now. Between October and November. That's quite exciting. So what we're going to be doing then, I reckon, over the next week or so, before I go on leave, we're going to come and visit this den once a day in the morning and in the afternoon. And maybe we'll be lucky enough to see some little ones running around, which would be quite cool, because I've never seen that. I don't know how many of you have seen that either. So we're going to keep that in mind. And we're going to try and come around here and have a little look about. Very, very interesting. That's the right time of the year for little everythings. Okay, well, I don't want to disturb them too much because I accidentally chased them away from their den. They ran away from the car, so I don't want to harm them too much. They're sitting down there. We'll just move on slowly. We can come back here first thing tomorrow morning, and we'll see if we can try and sneak up on them. I think the best bet might actually be to come from this way, because you sort of surprise them coming up on the rise. But maybe if they see you from... Oh, hang on, here's a better view. Maybe if we see them from a distance, when they hear and see us, can you see them straight across, just here to the right? They're just in the grass. There they are. You can just see their little faces sticking out. Very, very, very cool. Always amazing to see these little critters. Well, we'll let them head back to their den in case there are some little ones inside. I'm going to send you across to South Africa now, where James is doing all sorts of things, and I'm sure he's going to entertain you with his wonderful sense of humor.
All kinds of things I am doing here. Here we have some impala, lots of them, lots of them. I don't know why I'm talking like this, but I'm going to stop now. A bachelor herd of impala and 1 or 2 females, oh yes, licking each other for salt perhaps, or mud. You can see there's some streaks of something on the back one's neck. Louise thinks they might just be being affectionate to each other. Well, Louise, I suppose they might. That's certainly not behaviour you'd expect to see in May in the middle of the rut. You know what they're doing? They are scraping each other with that specially adapted tooth that is loose. Can you see how they drop the bottom drop the bottom lip there and then start scraping? And they're doing it to each other on parts of the body that are not reachable by themselves. So I think that's allo grooming of some description rather than affection. I'm sorry, Louise. That is very interesting indeed. The reason I was giggling, of course, is because I have recently lost my tick using tooth, or my tick scraping tooth. It's in exactly the same position as you would find your premolar. That is where you'll find the loose tooth that these impala use to scrape ticks from their beings. I must apologise for the wind noise. It is very windy, but also my microphone has to be modified slightly. I'm not sure if we have the parts just yet. Let's have a look at the females outside. One of them in front there, definitely quite heavily pregnant. In fact, both of those ones in front, I'd say, are quite heavily pregnant. Ooh, and Tristan has already seen a lamb. That's very early. I think Tristan saw a steenbok. That, of course, is a very bad joke because everybody makes it every year whenever anybody says, I saw the first lamb. Everyone goes, no man, you saw a steenbok. So that's what I've just done. Allow me to be the first to make that poor joke this year. It'll be made countless times further. Then there's one there, that one there that you're looking at now, I think has got mange. Very skinny, hips showing. I don't think she's pregnant. And that kind of mottled appearance on her legs and neck. It's possibly mud, but I don't think so. I think that she is looking a bit mangy and fairly poor condition. Hope it's just mud. Anyway, that's very interesting. Tristan is obviously watching the show. Tristan, where was that baby impala? Are you able to tell me? Can you tell me? Tell me now, immediately. Apparently it was on Galago Shortcut, near the fire break. Okay. Well, this is very hurricane force wind. Let me try and close it up a little bit. That might help a bit. Is that better, Louise? Is that better? 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. Okay, I've sorted the problem out. I will sort it out more permanently when we next go off here. Okay, my plan now that Noelle has gone to Treehouse Dam and found herself a leopard is to move on from here and see if we can't pick up on Tingana, which of course she had just before we came live, and then he headed into some very nasty bush. So we'll see if he hasn't popped out somewhere around where Noelle was looking. I would keep an eye on the dam cam if I were you. And so we're going to head across to Noelle now, to Shadow's cub, whose name is Barbara. That's not true. Please don't everyone panic. Twitter servers won't be able to cope. Her name is not Barbara. Let's go across to not Barbara with definitely Noelle.
Chandra and I are going to try again to play I Spy with my little eye with you all. So I spy with my little eye a leopard, but we want to know if you can spy the little leopard with your little eye. Chandra, you're actually being quite cheeky, I'm not gonna lie. Sorry guys, so because this sighting is stable, we wanted to have a little fun with you all. We've had such a beautiful sighting. So we are going to direct you towards the beautiful Shadow's cub. So it's really juvenile, but to Shadow's juvenile, just hidden amongst some brush packing. So can we spy her yet? Spy her yet? Fab. So as far as screenshots go, when she picks her tail up a little bit and then puts her ears forward, that's what, there we go, that's when I would take my screenshot. I would really like if she went back up on the dam wall and then we could do a silhouette shot. So we were chatting with FC during when you all were with James, and Lou and I were chatting, and she was just asking a bit about Shadow's youngster here, and I was saying that I think that one of the reasons why Shadow's youngster is as calm as she is right now, after having heard various different stories about how she is not necessarily good on her own. I don't think Mum's very far. I also commented with Lou that when she was walking down to the water hole, you can actually see it now the way she's laying, her belly's quite full. Not full as in they have a kill right this second, but full as in they've definitely been eating. So I think those things combined means that if we just sit here and wait, we're gonna get something good happening. Everyone else has left. We had some great other guides and guests with us in the sighting, and they all enjoyed, they all took photos, but also they're here for a very limited time. Sometimes 2 nights, sometimes 3 nights, sometimes maybe a week. Sometimes people only come for a night. It just depends on what their schedule is and what they can afford. For us, we're really lucky. We live here and then get to show you everything that we can see twice a day, every single day, and you get to see it live. So we've parked off in a bush in the shade with a good visual, and we're not going to go anywhere. Sinak's wondering if she would be able to catch terrapins. Sinak, if she has no aversion to water, then yeah, she probably could catch a terrapin, no problem. I don't know if she'd be able to get into their shell. A friend of mine that works in the Timbavati watched a male leopard that was a little bit older than this who liked to dive into the water and catch fish, but the sister from the same letter refused to go into the water like that. I've seen leopards catching crocodiles. I've seen them do all sorts of funny things. So if her personality suits for the terrapin, then yeah, it could definitely happen. Sinak, have you seen on the show leopards catching terrapins? Or is it just something that you're hoping to see? Jeandre's shaking his head. Yes, you have seen leopards catching terrapins. That's very cool. It's not something I've seen yet. I'm going to have to add that to my list. James has something that our Shadows youngster would like to eat. We're going to head over to him, and then we're staying here.
It's a baby impala. There's its mother. Where's the little one? We have to see some. There. You saw one glimpse, 2 frames. Apparently Tristan says that was a steenbok. I think that's quite early. I wonder if somebody can maybe tell us when we saw the first one last year. I would have thought this is really quite early for them. And James Richard, thank you, I believe you posted a picture of Tristan with his steenbok that he found the other day as well. So thank you for proving it. Oh, with an impala standing next to his mother, not a steenbok then. Okay, good. But isn't this quite early? I wonder if anybody has a note of when we found the first one last year, because I think it was around the 20th of November. I might be quite wrong. And no doubt the inevitable debate over when the woodland kingfisher will come back is in full flow. Has Tristan seen one of the... Oh, he has. He has seen one on Chitwa. Oh, but he didn't get it on camera. Did he hear it call? Oh, he did hear it call. Oh. There's a kudu. It's not the first one anyone's seen. Tristan's definitely seen a kudu before. Tristan, of course, deserves to see all these things first because he has been doing sterling work alone here for many months. Now, I haven't seen one of these for a little while. Counter the fact that you don't find them in the Masai Mara. I did see a few in the Eastern Cape where I was on my leave. This is a kudu, in case you're wondering, not a steenbok or an impala. Let's go a little bit forward. There are 2 cows here. So, I'm going to absolutely acknowledge that Tristan has seen the first woodland kingfisher, which I think, again, is pretty early. I remember 2 years ago, I don't know how I remember this, it was the 16th of November. I don't know what it was last year, I've forgotten that. But I wonder if somebody can't tell us if it was early this year as well. And if it was, I wonder if the weather conditions, which of course affect animals differently, but affect all animals, I wonder if they haven't affected both of those creatures for some reason. Of impala lamb last year was on the 22nd of November, So I mean this is very early. More than 2 weeks. And if there are two, you can be fairly sure there'll be quite a few more. Very beautiful colours there as the sun starts to sink, and they're just casting a green gold light over the kudus with some, I think, well, perhaps clouds heralding some moisture tomorrow, perhaps. I'm told there's supposed to be some rain, but of course we do get told that quite a lot. Now Louise has just told me something very interesting. She said that where there are clouds, there is rain, which I really hadn't realized before. So while I ponder this, we're going to head across to Kenya, and you know, the profundities that are coming out of the final control today are just too overwhelming. So I think while I consider them, you should go over to Kenya and have a look at Scott.
Very good. Welcome back to Kenya. Hope you've been having fun with James and you've come at a good time, because this is the most he has moved in the last hour. So that is uncanny how good your timing is. And let's hope he's not just getting up to scratch his chin, and that he is in fact possibly thinking about taking us on an evening stroll. Now, earlier he did the same thing as now. He woke up and started grooming himself, let off a few big yawns, and that often is a good sign that they're all beautiful big yawn there. He has some massive canines, all in good shape, as you could see. And like I was saying, hopefully this time around, he is actually getting ready to go off and maybe look for a meal. I'm not sure how hungry he is. I haven't seen his belly yet, but he has moved quite a long way during the daylight hours, and that to me would indicate that he is possibly a little bit more hungry than normal. So good prospects for later on. However, there isn't a whole bunch of prey in the area. As far as I can see, I can't spot anything suitable for him. But that could change. Who knows? Maybe a herd of topi could come walking past. He could maybe try and snipe one of their youngsters. Adults would be too big for him. Wonderful. I can't wait until he stands up. I mean, he looks very impressive, even lying down like this. He's got a massive head and shoulders. But it'll be great to see you up and about, big old boy. Don't look so sad. Or concerned. You'll find a meal soon. Come on, one more big yawn and then take us for a walk. Oh, don't even worry about the yawn then. I'm happy for you to just get up and look at how beautiful he is. And he's coming, surprisingly, straight towards us. This is a very, very pleasant surprise. Yeah, he is looking hungry, and he is a big, beautiful male leopard. Beautiful dewlap hanging down below his neck there. And wonderful to see that he's so relaxed with us, passing just a few meters past the vehicle. Oof, he is a fine, fine specimen. Great. Well, good start, good timing. Thank you for jumping back on board with us, because as soon as you rejoined, he decided to get his act together. Okay, so I'm just going to do a quick loop around and get in front of him and let him walk past us again. There's a little road that he might actually head towards and then start moving along. I'm guessing that is what he's going to do. So let me just get ahead here quickly. I'm actually going to have to turn the vehicle around and possibly reverse if he does actually decide to stick to this road, which he's likely to do. I mean, there's not many pathways here. It's not such thick bush, but animals love to use the roads that we build as their pathways because it's simply a path of least resistance. Oof. And if he does head towards us along this road, we're going to get some beautiful views of him with the setting sun in the background. Hi, DeSantis, you would like to know how old do leopards get in the wild? And there have been some females that have made it to 20 years of age, but that's very old. And I would say on average between 12 and 15 years would be considered a good innings. Oh, what a great view this is. It's so good to see a leopard again. I haven't spent much time with leopards since I've been in the Mara. And what a setting. Straight across the road. So no joy, we're not going to have him coming towards us, but we are still getting some great views of him. I think we can do better though, so let's, now that we know that he doesn't want to use this pathway and that we do know which direction he's heading in, I can plan a little bit better to get you some better views. He's not going to pop up onto this little termite mound that he's heading towards for a bit of a vantage point. He's not going to be able to see very far with all this long grass, so I'm hoping that he does head up onto, it's a very small mound, but it will give him enough of a elevation to see a little bit further. Here he goes. What can you see out there, boy? Has that helped your view? Sure. Beautiful, beautiful scene with the Olololo escarpment in the background. Hi, Paul. You'd like to know if all leopards have different colored eyes. I guess all slightly different, but this is your average colored eye for a leopard. Sometimes they're pale whitish color. You said that you thought they were blue, and very occasionally will you get leopards with blue eyes, and it's usually when they're young, and by the time they grow up they tend to fade. So this is fairly typical. He is an absolute beast. Look at all that skin even hanging down below his belly. That is the sign of a big, dominant male leopard. He's not going to take nonsense from many other leopard in this area, and it would be very interesting to know how many leopard there actually are in the Mara and the density of them, how much competition he has, or if his main competition is just the lion and the hyena, which I'm guessing is the case. Good, let's loop ahead of him again. Woohoo! Leopard on the move. And a beautiful individual at that. Just wish there was something for him to try and sneak up on, but it doesn't appear at first glance that there is. Who knows though, maybe he'll catch wind of a scrub hare, or maybe there'll be a reed buck hiding out in this long grass somewhere. Well, while we get into another good position, we're going to shoot you across to Tayla to see what she's getting up to.
Hello everybody. You're probably wondering who this gentleman is standing next to me. This is Nasiti, my favorite Askari, but don't tell anybody. And you can see he might not actually be able to see him because of all the camouflage that he's wearing, but it's important. It's part of his uniform. He's got his rifle, which he doesn't have to use very often, which is a good thing. And then you have my shoes. Boots than yours. So I got these in the UK. I've been waiting for a pair. They're wonderful. They're so comfortable. And then the city said he's going to march. So how do we march? And then don't we do something? Yeah, and then turn like this. I also need a gun. Yeah? Yeah? Left. And right hand. I don't think I'll be very good at joining the army. Me. Yeah. This is March. If you want to learn how to march, this is the man to speak to. There's my shoe. A bit ridiculous, but now you also get to see some of these Askaris, and I can tell you right now that Nasiti's family is going to be very excited to see him on the safari live. Right, let me get plugged back in. But there's my boots. They're very dirty now though, because I had to get them dirty for Tristan. I played in the mud. I tried to wipe them, but it didn't work. They've still got some wearing in to do, not much, just a little bit. And there we go. My army boots. They do look very much like army boots. But they will most certainly keep my feet from getting wet, and if you see the sort of things that we have to walk around in, you'll know why. And if you saw the picture of when I got stuck, you'll also know why I need boots where my pants are going to get dirty. Although I see that it didn't really help though, because my pants are filthy. But that may have been me stupidly jumping into a puddle and then getting dirty that way. So I suppose I brought it upon myself now, didn't I? Okay, so I saw Scott. Scott's actually just past us, heading in the opposite direction. He's actually quite far in the middle of this block though, so we're going to go around this side. Those lions are just flat and sleeping. They weren't doing anything. And now, because it's getting dark with the infrared, it's not ideal, because I don't think we'll see them very well. So maybe along the way home, we might go and check for the Angama pride, see if they're laying about anywhere close by. That could be quite nice. What's the time? How much time do we have? Oh, we've got plenty of time. Okay, that's what we'll do. We'll go and look for the Angama pride. I'm not sure where the sausage tree pride is. We obviously looked for them this morning and no luck, which is a pity because I'm not sure where they are. Right. Oh my goodness, it seems as though everybody's having luck with leopards today except me. But that's okay. James has managed to find one of our favorite girls.
We've got Thandi, everybody, and it looks, I don't know, has she given birth maybe? There she is, in the golden light. She's got a very swollen belly, but it looks to me a little bit like she might actually be lactating. Let's just watch her carefully. This is very special. Oh my goodness, what are you looking for in there? You don't have your cubs in there, do you, my dear? No, you don't. Do you? Surely not. Good grief, can you imagine if that happened? Oh my goodness, I'm holding my breath. I can't believe this. Shh, shh. know if we should even move. I'm going to wait here. This is about the best view we've got. I can move, you know what, I can move a little bit around. We won't get any closer, but we can get around. We won't be able to look into that hole. That will be impossible. We walked past here today and we found her tracks on the road. We thought they were a bit old. Well, if this isn't a den site, it's certainly a prospective den site that she's casing. I tell you what, I'm not moving from here for the rest of this drive. I think she's given birth. Can you believe it? Now, before we go any further with this, it must be said that this area, if she has given birth, will be zoned very smartly, and we won't be able to come past here much until probably 6 weeks from now. But we are allowed to be here to confirm the birth of cubs, especially if we're only one person, and we're not going to call this in. She's gone straight down into that termite mound. I've never seen a leopard give birth in a termite mound before. I've heard of it happening often, but I've never seen it myself. I can't believe what we've just witnessed. Either that or there is a warthog or something in there. Isn't that spectacular? I mean, she didn't go over the top there. She went inside, huh? She went straight inside. So I think we must just wait here, everybody, I'm afraid. I mean, I know we've got 2 other leopards today, so, you know, I don't feel too bad just sitting here and making you look at the breeze blowing through the golden swaying grass. And I'm sure you'd all agree with me that this is a good spot to stay. Now, when I looked at her, I thought to myself, she looks like there's a lot of moisture around where her teats are. And so that can only come from the suckling of little baby, tiny little leopard cubs. Wouldn't that be exciting? Oh, wow. Let's take the date, everybody. It's the 10th of November, is it? Tuesday. Yes, it's the 10th. 10th of November. I mean, we won't, if we don't see them now and we see them 3 weeks from now, we can take this as the date, or somewhere around the 10th of November. She's either giving birth as we speak, or she's about to, or she has given birth in there. But that is, for a leopard doesn't go into a termite mound to have a snooze. That's not what's going on here. This is by far the best angle we'll have of this termite mound. Yeah, no, Kristen, they do, absolutely. You say, do leopards move dens like lions do? Yes, they do, completely. As soon as this becomes slightly smelly, she will move, and they'll do it quite frequently. So, the last time Kruger gave birth, which was not far from here, she moved it, we think, probably about 3 weeks or so after she had the babies. Certainly by 3 weeks after Brent found them, they had gone away. So I think, every time they get smelly, they'll move, because, a hyena will stick its nose in there and there'll be real trouble. It's not the best kind of a den site, I don't think, because they don't, there is no way of escaping from it. So, once they're in there, they're in there. But it will give protection from the elements, absolutely. The cubs, of course, are born, unlike a hyena, They're born completely blind and helpless, so they won't dig themselves a shelf like the hyenas will that will allow them to escape from any other predator. And also, when she goes away, there's no nursemaid left behind, like often there is with a pack of wild dogs. They obviously also use termite mounds. So, it's a difficult. I'm always worried at this stage, because it really is very difficult for them to survive. Okay, I'm not going anywhere from here. We're going to wait here and see what transpires. Let's head across to Kenya now. Apparently the sun is beginning to set, and in its golden copper rays, Scott and his leopard are sitting.
Well, isn't that exciting stuff with James and the prospects of her cubs? I'm hoping this male leopard is going to climb up this tree for us. Come on, boy. There's a beautiful angle to it, and he could get a wonderful vantage point if in fact he decides to climb up. But it may just be some scent marking that he's interested in doing. That seems to be his initial plans for the evening. He's been going from bush to bush, sniffing around, as well as leaving his own scent behind. What a beautiful, beautiful evening it is here in the Mara. And it looks like he's going to start rubbing himself up all against the base of this tree. And there goes a scent mark. But no joy. He didn't want to go up the hill, up the tree. I just thought it was quite inviting because it had quite an easy ascent. You can see how the tree's leaning at a bit of an angle, which would have made it almost like a staircase for him. Well, Kathy, you'd like to know, how do the leopards cope here in the Mara in this open environment, because they ambush predators? Well, even though it's open with all this long grass, they can certainly still ambush their prey. So the problem doesn't come in the fact that the open terrain makes it hard for them to hunt. The problem is that there's not many escape routes for them if hyena and lion come onto the scene. So that is the main issue that they are going to be facing. By being in a very open area, there's more than enough spots for them to ambush their prey. And with that incredible camouflage, even in an open clearing like this, with relatively long grass, they're going to be able to sneak up on their prey just fine. Good. We're going to loop ahead of him again. I hope James has in fact found the den for Thandi. It'll be good timing, because for the 2 years that I spent at Djuma, we didn't have any leopard cubs. And as soon as I left, Karula's den site with Shongile and Hosanna had just been found, and I didn't get to see them growing up, so it'll be wonderful to have some more leopard cubs around. We've got a massive storm coming our way, sadly, so we may be in for trouble a little bit later on. Okay, well, it looks like he's decided to start moving along a road, which will make our life a bit easier. Hi, Ali. You'd like to know if this leopard would be a threat to cheetah if he came across them, and yes, he certainly could be. A big male leopard like this will be able to quite easily take on and kill cheetah, both male and female, and they are well known for doing that. So, most certainly. Oi. Now that at least he's on a road, I should be able to reverse and have him just walking straight down towards us. Just need to get onto the road that he is on.
which is clearly taking a bit of time. Well, it seems like an afternoon filled with leopards. Now you have the joy of going over and joining Noel and Shadow's cub.
So the collective noun for leopards is a leap of leopards. Usually the collective noun means you have them all at once in one spot. But however, we have one here at Treehouse Dam. We had Thandi over with James, other side of Djuma. I'm not quite sure where he is. And then up with Scott. So Safari Live has a leap of leopard at the moment. So something really funny happened while you all were visiting the other presenters. Another vehicle came up to the sighting. And one of the guests in the car, I apologize for not being on the Game Drive radio because we had been live, and one of the guests in the car said, please don't worry, I watch your show every day from Cyprus. So Kiri from Cyprus is visiting the Sabi Sands, and he just wanted to say hello to Nicholas, his 14-year-old son, who watches with him. And it was just, it's a tickle me pink moment, because obviously I get my questions from you all through FC, and then you can hear it, but then to meet a viewer and be able to engage with the viewer physically one-on-one was really fun. And then we're sitting in this leopard sighting with Shadow's youngster together. Yeah, it was good. It was very good. So Shadow's youngster saw an impala, started to stalk the impala, not to kill the impala, but obviously her instincts are there, and then got a little bit nervous and just peered over the dam wall. And then she went up and down. Then she posed nicely for some photographs. And then now, as you saw, she's just laying in the shade. We are going to stick with her for as long as we possibly can. I know that Scott's leopard was doing some amazing scent marking. And then I think the update that I got from Lou at FC was that James has Thandi. And I think that is absolutely incredible. I am still convinced that Shadow is actually here somewhere. She's probably just taking a rest from her youngster. I don't think she's here as in she's 10 meters, because then the youngster would be with her, but I think she's in the general vicinity, sort of 500 meters, maybe a kilometer. I don't think she's very far. And then obviously the cooler it gets, the more this little one's going to start moving around. And I still can't get over the cuteness factor. Anything small is cute. I am also a girl, so I tend to like really cute things, but this is a cute little leopard. Oh, Jean-Dre, you had mentioned earlier, obviously Jean-Dre and I chat along the way. He is my cameraman. We had been talking with the schools earlier, not just about habitats, but about camouflage. So we did our I Spy, but if you have a look at the way that her back, the way that the rosettes come through and how they meld into the color of the soil, it is very, very, very easy for this leopard to camouflage. And with Jean-Dre's expert camera work, I mean, look, we know she's there because we just panned out. But if that was your first view, it's not necessarily going to catch your full eye. Some spur falls going there. Notice how every little sound, every little movement, she turns her head, she turns her ears, and then she also twitches her tail just a bit. I believe the viewer asking, do cats have communications with their tails too, is cat moi, but Lou, if I've said that wrong, you can let me know. Yeah, they do have communication with their tail. Yeah, Lou, I'm so sorry. There's something, my comms are being silly. Chat noir, I think we're trying to say. I'm so sorry if I'm butchering it. Please excuse me. Yeah. And humans do the same thing. So an eye twitch, a shoulder twitch. If you're feeling relaxed, you're going to be in an open posture. If you're feeling tense, you're going to be in a tense posture. Anything on an animal's body is going to do the same. So yeah, they definitely communicate with their tails. And so, for instance, you'll notice with someone that might be agitated or titchy, they might shake their leg or they might tap their fingers like this. She's interested, so she's twitching her tail. And then the type of twitching depends on how interested she is. So for instance, her mom, if her mom had tried to hunt and then the impala, she had failed, and then the impala are all snorting at her. Her tail would curl up and around in a huge curl, and she would move it in annoyance. So yeah, there's definite visual communications with that tail. Like, see, now it's silent. And there's no movement. If you have a pet cat at home, they do the same thing with their tails. Shelley, good question. What are the largest prey species leopards are known to take down? Now remember, just like humans, leopards are individuals. So I can say what the books say, which is leopards take small to medium prey, but I know male leopards that take out giraffe. A small to medium giraffe. I used to work with a leopard whose name was Bumba Nyati, which means kill buffalo, and he took down small to medium-sized buffalo. You cannot generalize. You can't generalize with lion, can't generalize with leopard. Everything is different. And they also, with predators, 85% of a predator's diet is going to be one, sometimes two species. Another 15% is going to be another, maybe two, sometimes three. Sometimes 100% of a predator's diet is one species. And that's all dependent on individual area, resources available, and also learned behavior. So it's a huge gray area. So me personally, the biggest I've ever seen a leopard take down, this male leopard was well over 90 kilograms, probably closer to 95, was I think it was about a 1.5-year-old buffalo. It was insane. It was absolutely insane. And then a friend of mine that works in the southern side of the sands, when I hadn't seen leopard in about 2 weeks, and he knew this, so he sent me a photo of a big male leopard taking out a 1-month-old giraffe and then hoisting it in a tree. It was very incredible. I feel like she's used all of her energy earlier when it was warm. Now she's tired. Alright, flat cat. Let's go to James, who potentially has Thandi's den site, which is super exciting. Let's head over that way.
Well, yes, potentially. I'm afraid there has been no movement as yet. Still, the hole remains relatively unoccupied. Well, not relatively unoccupied. It is occupied by at least one leopard. Now, she hasn't stuck her head out at all. She has done nothing further since we left you last. And I think that she's probably, like I say, if she isn't giving birth now, she's probably suckling the cubs. And if she's suckling them, well, she will be in there for as long as they suckle, and then I suspect she'll come and lie outside. I don't think she'll stay in there with them, but I might be wrong. So it's definitely, while that's not the most entertaining picture you've ever seen, we are going to remain here. Kathy, you want to know how big newborn leopard cubs are? I guess the best way to describe them is probably about the size of a squirrel, and probably about that big when they're born. Tiny, tiny little things. They grow very rapidly after that, but the size of a squirrel. Maybe a small squirrel, actually. And there can be probably between 2 or 3 of them, well, normally 2 or 3, up to 4 or 5 sometimes, but 2 or 3 seems to be the average around here. I've never seen a leopard manage to raise all 3 of her cubs. Normally they will lose 1. 2 is a good number for them. Now, this is interesting. Tamba is now how old? Tamba must be... I've forgotten all of this now. Tamba must be just 2. Wasn't he 2 in August? I don't remember. Somebody please tell me. Here we go. July last year. Good grief. Tamba is... Oh yeah, so it was July, August, but he's only a year old. So for Thandi to have given birth now is very unusual. So again, the textbooks must be thrown out of the wall, out of the window, and let's see what happens. That is really interesting. So she's given birth, or is about to give birth, to a leopard only 12 months after her last one was birthed. That is quite something. Well, not 12 months. What is it now? It's almost... Well, it's 16 months. Whew. That is fascinating. Anyway, we'll see what happens. Amanda, you want to know if I've seen a leopard with more than 2 cubs? Yeah, like I say, I have seen leopards with 3 cubs fairly frequently. I've never seen one raise 3 cubs, though. Every single time I've seen a leopard with 3 cubs, she's lost at least one of them. So while it is possible for them to raise 3, I don't see why they shouldn't. It's obviously very difficult. And so, yeah, it does happen, but it's very unusual. Deadhead Tom, you say, if she does have cubs, does this mean that I get to name them? Well, in theory, Deadhead Tom, if we see them now, then that honour will fall, in theory, to me and Senzor. So what we will probably do is call them Alan and Alice, if they're male and female, won't we, Senzor? Because those are the best leopard names in the world. And if they're 2 males, then they'll be Alan and Alex. Or it could just be, well, let's make them generic. Let's call them Alex and Leslie. Alex and Leslie, perhaps, because those 2 are, well, names that can apply to girls and boys. Now, in all seriousness, while the honour may fall to me in theory, we would almost certainly hand it over, as we did for Karula's last group, for Shongile and Hosana. We'd give it to Texon and Aubrey. Almost forgot who he was for a second. Texon and Aubrey to do, because they've been here for so very long, so they should have that honour. Nothing else has happened just yet. It's quite a long suckling session, if that's what it is. It may, of course, be a birthing session, in which case its length is entirely explicable. Kristen, you're wondering about sound coming from the burrow. I am listening quite carefully, but no, I can't hear anything. I wonder if we wouldn't be able to hear something if there wasn't quite so much wind. At the moment, we might just be able to hear the odd sort of cheeping sound from the very little cubs. But, you know, if there are cubs in there, they are probably no more than a day or 2 old, in which case their ability to make a noise will be very, very limited indeed. This is quite spectacular. Now, William, you want to know if Thandi leaves, will we go around or go there and check to see if the cubs are there? Yes, what we'll do is Senzor will stand guard. I will walk up there and sort of go shoulder length in, pull them out, check what kind they are, you know, probably give them a rabies shot, put them back in there. No, we would leave it entirely as is, William. We wouldn't do anything at all. I have heard of people doing precisely what I've just described to you without giving them a jab, and well, apart from being massively dangerous, because if the mother suddenly turns around and comes back, you can get yourself into real trouble. It's obviously leaving very strange scent on the cubs. It'll distress the mother hugely. Who knows what she would do? She might abandon them. So no, we wouldn't just stay right where we are here. We wouldn't go any closer than this, and if she was to leave now, we would just go as well, because they would be so tiny they'd never come out on their own. So yeah, William, that's what we do here. It can be, if you have just joined us, by the way, we're sitting here at a termite mound with a hole in it, and the hole there was occupied very recently, probably about 20 minutes ago, by Thandi. We're waiting to see if perhaps she doesn't either bring her cubs out or emerge herself. While we do that, the sun, you can see, is setting just behind this hole, casting a very pleasant light on the situation. Let's go back across to Noel and a leopard that was born, well, a little bit before these ones.
So our little leopard youngster is still flat cat, but we are watching the same beautiful sunset that James is watching, and it is quite gorgeous. Just take a moment and appreciate this. Gorgeous, and gorgeous camera work by Jean-Dre. Of course, you could see the whole, from the smallest little detail up into the larger details. It almost looked a bit like a watercolor painting. It's absolutely beautiful. So let's have a look at our now very sleepy leopard. All that I can equate this to is, if any of you have toddlers out there, when your toddlers have those moments where they're just full of energy and then all of a sudden it's gone. That's what's happened here. This little leopard has been so interested in everything, and there's been vehicles viewing her, and now she's tired. So normally she should be, if she was an adult, she would be sort of waking up now, stretching, moving, but no, she's done. She's twitching. I don't know if you saw that there. There she goes. She's twitching her little paw in the front. She's having dreams. Oh, hysterical. Lou says little leopard dreams. Lazy leopard. We were doing alliterations. Lazy leopard lullabies. There's our alliteration for this. Well done. Okay, well, I was really hoping that Mum would show up, and I was hoping that we would get a little more action of her, but I think we've had an extremely decent sighting. So I just want to check around the area for the little bit of time we have left, if everybody is okay with that. That's kind of what I'm feeling at the moment. And we will leave her to her nighttime escapades. And also gives the other vehicle that's with us in the sighting just now a chance to have her all to themselves, like we did for a while. And who knows, maybe we'll bump into Shadow along the way. Woo, it's a blustery day, a blustery evening. But we're gonna drive into the sunset. The colors are really beautiful. I've given up completely on Tingana. We're not going to go back there. Him and I are in a fight right now. We'll try maybe tomorrow. Let's see what James's sunset on the other side looks like on the other side of Djuma. We'll
It looks very beautiful on the other side of Djuma, although we're not really that far from where Noelle is. She's only about, maybe 3/4 of a mile as the crow flies. In fact, probably not even that. So the sun has just set, and we're not going to hang around here when it gets dark. We're obviously going to move off in probably about 10 minutes. So we'll give her another 10 minutes or so, see if she doesn't pop out, and then we'll get out of here. Our presence could possibly, but probably not, attract, say, a hyena after dark if we were sitting here with the dashboard lights on and that sort of thing. So as soon as it gets darkish, we'll leave. But at least we can come back here in the morning, or someone can come back in the morning. Of course, the person who deserves to see them first is old Tristan. And so maybe he will pop back here in the morning and have a look what's going on. Then it can be a combined effort, and we can take his name suggestions as well. Good. All right. Well, yeah, we'll probably sit here, like I say, for another 10 minutes. So send through any questions or comments that you might have. Oh, she's out, she's out, she's out, she's out, she's out, she's out. I'm warning you, I'm going to take some illegal pictures if anything does emerge from there. I think it's allowed. She's stuck her head out there. I'm just going to turn the... Sorry, Lou, I missed the last question. I'm just going to be very quiet. I'm torn between being extremely quiet and just talking normally, because I really want them to be used to our voices from very early on. Now, a question from somebody called Nachropolin. Is that cool? Right, Nachropolin? Oh, just Lynn, not Nachroplin. Just Lynn. Lynn, you want to know if Tingana came across them, what would happen? We don't really know. He's almost certainly the father, and so chances are, and this is his territory, so chances are he'd be absolutely fine with him. But she will not want him too close by. So I think the thing is to just keep a very sort of muted commentary going, rather than being completely silent, even if it means we don't see them now. Well, I mean, if we do see them, she'll have to pick them up and bring them out. But I think the trick is that they must become as used to our voices as soon as possible. That you saw how she stuck her head out and looked straight at us. So like I say, I don't want to put any kind of pressure on her at this stage, so 5 minutes or so and we'll leave. We're not even going to use the infrared light on her. Not that she'd be able to see it, but I just don't want to bash around here in the dark trying to get out. The camera's poised, ready to take any pictures that there might be. So we're going to give it another 2 minutes, and then we'll see. Well, you see, Philip, this is the thing that the textbooks will tell you, no, they can't. You say, can a leopard raise new cubs and a sub-adult at the same time? Well, Tumba's obviously killing for himself. He must be. Or he'd be getting very hungry, I suspect. So the answer is, I don't think that she has... I'm not sure that she has the ability at the moment to look after all of them. She might kill an impala somewhere and then go and eat it, and he might find it and then finish it. So it does happen from time to time, but it'll be difficult for her. But Scott has often made mention of the fact that of the times, and he's seen this quite often, of previous litters feeding with current litters once they're old enough, of course, to be out of the den and eating meat. So, I mean, I don't see why she shouldn't, especially as he's on his own. So it's not like she's got to feed two others. Yeah, you can see the light has gone now completely. Marisha, you're wondering about an exit hole on the back side that we can't see. You say, is it possible? It is possible. I think it's highly unlikely, though. She wouldn't have stuck her head out of that hole if it was, if there was one. So no, I don't think so. I think it's just that hole. Oh, very fascinating. You did get her there when she stuck her head out, eh? Let's see what happens. Louise says 20 seconds. Let me just check the timing here. Yeah, let's give it another minute or so. And then we'll head away. The thing is, even if they are in there, she's not going to pick them up and hold them out unless she's moving den. So I guess in that way this is quite a good spot for her to be. Still, at least we got to see a leopard before the end of the drive. Okay, I think that's probably going to be it. We're going to move out of here before it gets dark and I can't see what's going on and I hit a tree on the way out. And someone will come back past here in the morning and we'll see if we aren't very, very lucky with Thandi's little cubs. Okay, while we move out, we're going to go across to Noelle. I don't know what she's doing. She's left her leopard and she's going to head into the night, or into the coming night, and hopefully find something exciting.
James, I also don't know what I'm doing at this point. Look, we had such a great leopard sighting. James had a great leopard sighting. We tried, unfortunately couldn't get Tingana on camera for you, but Tingana was around. Koki, it's a Koki Franklin. And then Scott had that beautiful leopard as well. So for right now, I mean, this is my favorite part of the evening. I'm just going to find this Cokie Franklin for you. My favorite part of the evening, just after the sun is set, we still have 20 minutes of usable light. And it's just a really lovely temperature. It smells good. It's summer. We're in the bush. Life is good at the moment. Really, Cokie Franklin? You're going to stop calling and hide. Why? No men. Alright, tomorrow. It's a little bit dark, maybe. Tomorrow we'll find you a Cokie Franklin. I also just want to check around and see what else is around. We tend to do... Obviously, we want to get you all the best studies we can, but it's been feeling like we've been working some of the same areas because Hassana and Shadow and her youngster have been sort of seen and or giving us tracks in the same areas. So... I just want to have a look about. It's moments like these where you either see nothing or you're surprised with the most spectacular sighting ever. It's also cool enough where we might start seeing nocturnal creatures like honey badger. I love a honey badger. Porcupine, hyenas, which we know move during the day and during the night, but they might be out roaming about. Caracal, serval. Trying to think what else. What am I missing, Jandre? Ooh, a pangolin. Jandre and I want to see a pangolin. Quaddy. I love a pangolin. I love, as you know, I'd say I love everything. So yes, penguins are very interesting and unique. Thank you. Lulu says I'm a very loving person. I did an interview drive once, so long ago, maybe 9 years ago. And I was so nervous. And we were seeing such incredible stuff on this interview drive, I couldn't believe it. And afterwards, my feedback was, good drive, but you say I love everything a lot. And for some reason, 9 years, 10 years later, I'm still doing it. We need to spread the love around. Kindness, love, not being judgmental. Cannot be the easiest thing sometimes, but it's good. Makes the world go round. See, this is what happens when we see leopards and we get a beautiful sunset. It's just a lot of love pouring out. Okay, so before I start waffling on anymore, serious business, this is safari business. Jandre and I were just talking about it now. Say that quite facetiously. Jandre's giving the eye like, what do you mean? Yeah, oh, something else you could see this time of night, which I have not seen a lot of, is a bat hawk. I've only seen 2 bat hawks in my whole career, and they obviously eat bats, and they are a type of hawk, thus bat hawk. It's an amazing name. But as the sun goes down and then the bats start moving around, especially those insect-eating bats, that's when you'll start to see bat hawks coming out. The last time I saw one, I was with some fresh brand new students learning to become guides, and myself and the fellow instructor were going, oh my goodness, it's a bat hawk, and freaking out. But of course these students had just arrived. They have no idea how special this was. I did run into one of those students again some years later, and they were saying, now I get it, now I get the bat hawk. But the same thing happened to me when I started training. My head trainer was obsessed with birds, still is obsessed with birds. He's one of the most brilliant birders I've ever met. And we saw a white-backed night heron, which he had, I think, only ever seen once. And, you know, I'd been at guide training school for all of 2 weeks, and I was like, yeah, it's an interesting bird. Okay, but, you know, I was really into trees then. I was like, let's go look at some trees. And I just remember my head instructor's face just looking at me like, are you crazy? And I look back on that now going, oh my goodness gracious, it was a white-backed night heron. How incredible, how incredible. But I guess, you know, ignorance is bliss and perspective is good. So Tayla, again, up in East Africa, north of us. What does Steph always say? 3,000 kilometers north or miles north or whatever he says. We were joking around with him the other day. Head up to her and see what she's up to and what she has in store.
I love that you had to explain that it was a joke, though. Noel, I feel like I have those days as well where just no one quite understands me. I thought it was funny. And so we're just sitting here in our tent because it's raining. It's just, well, we actually drove through the storm. And we had it coming. You may have seen it with Scott when you were with the leopard. And it was quite bad. And then we tried to pull off the road for somebody to be kind. It's the last time I'm kind in the rain and the dark, and because the road is sort of built like this and it drops down and it has these sort of little drains, I suppose, on the side. And slid down and we were stuck, and we were basically driving like this for, I don't know, 100, 200 meters. We couldn't get out, and diff lock, low range, you name it, we were pretty much stuck on the side. Eventually though, it got to a little rocky section and I was able to maneuver the car quite quickly with one swift little one of those, and then it just was just enough to get the tires out. But interesting how you have to drive in mud to try and work your way out. You know, the more you do it, you sort of work these sort of things out. Anyway, we managed to get back up on the road again. And there was a very unhappy person that was driving behind us, flashing his lights, because I refused to pull off the road for a second time because I'm not stupid and I wasn't going to get stuck again. And I don't know how he didn't see us also driving in the drain. But anyways, but now you can hear it starting again. We got in front of the storm, and now it's coming back overhead again. And there's not much wind, so Jai and I have been talking about how the storm is actually going to be building and building and getting bigger and bigger. And I think by the time it reaches camp, which is maybe going to be in the next 5 to 10 minutes, we're going to have a serious downpour. So we managed to escape it for a little bit, but now absolutely nothing. But we're going to carry on driving. I've got them in low range. Yes, and maybe start in second gear then. I'm going to have to just do this. Boom! Because otherwise I cannot see what's going out on the road in front of me. My lights aren't particularly bright, but now I can see where I'm driving, which is fine. I was hoping that the rain was not going to catch us on the escarpment. I hope we were going to be able to get away from it and then actually start looking for some striped polecats, because there's one that lives up here around camp. And that was going to be my goal. We were going to go to the Angama Pride, but it was just the rain was too horrible. I wasn't going to be able to shine my spotlight and look for them. But it seems as though the storm is pushing right up on the escarpment. Sometimes it misses it, so sometimes it just sort of hugs the escarpment and doesn't quite come right up on top, but that's not the case this afternoon. But we need the rain. We had a huge downpour earlier today just before the show started. It flooded the kitchen and all of our tents. Poor housekeeping had to go in afterwards and clean up and do all those fun things. Literally, there was just a pile of water in my room. I was running around picking up plugs, trying to get them off the ground. Louise, are you still there? Just checking. Louise has been very quiet, and I'm worried that I'm just presenting and I'm not even on air anymore. This happens to me often. Okay, no, I must have been pouring a glass of apple juice or something. No, I'm joking. That was also a joke. Let me know it quickly. No, I can hear you now, Louise. Right, let me just concentrate here because there's a bit of a turn in the road here, so I don't want to miss the road. This is the only problem with driving with the covers. They keep us nice and dry. Well, we also sprung a leak, so we need to do a bit of modifications up top over here, which we'll get to. But it also makes it quite difficult to see, so I've just got to make sure that when I'm driving on the escarpment road, I keep both eyes on the road, because it's not very wide and it's quite easily to, of course, turn the car over. Especially we've been sliding around already. My tires are caked in mud. I don't know how much of the tread is actually around. It'll be there. I just need to drive over some grass or maybe through some water. Okay, this is my favorite part in the whole world. Do it very slowly. Camp zebra! You can't see the camp zebra though. They're on their way to camp. Whee! Oh my goodness, the road is very slippery today. Thankfully there's not a lot of cows or anything moving around here this evening. And goats and zebra and giraffe normally hang around on this road, thankfully, because I can't see very well tonight. Okay, well, I'm going to try and keep both eyes on the road and 2 hands on the steering wheel as I navigate my way through here. James, however, has got it a little bit easier.
I do. I don't have to drive with either hand. Do I? So. just slightly. Goats, interesting subject. Goats. Goats, of course, are mostly replicated in nature by impala. So we have a lot of goats in this area. They don't eat plastic in this area, though, the goats, the impalas. To do a little bit of a turn down Ingwe Alley and see if Tingana has an impala in this area here. From now to the drive, we did leave Thandi pop out again, and well, Sensor suggested that we find medium.
Gremlins are always a pain in the bum, but that's fine. You can hang out with me. We're still just enjoying. I'm saying to Jandre now, it's so different guiding on camera with you guys in situations like this. So that little leopard sighting we had was so brilliant. And then normally what I would do, depending on what else is going on, the type of temperature it was and the beautiful sighting we had and everything, I would just sort of be meandering the way that I'm meandering now, but without actually really talking much, just to allow the sightings to sink in. A lot of guests, whether they're first-time guests or have been on 15 different safaris for 15 different years, I mean, a little leopard like that is absolutely incredible. And there is something about the smell and the sounds at this time of evening that it's just really soothing and calming. It's also really good. We can get back home, and I believe we refer to it as apple juice, and have some apple juice when we are back. Oh, hello, Waterbuck. The Waterbuck are listening to... Oh, yes, there is quite a few. Male Waterbuck, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We talked about several afternoons ago satellite herds of Waterbuck males that are within the periphery of a dominant male's territory. So within that male right there is only, say, 4 years old. And within this little 5-strong bachelor herd, we've got males of varying different ages. Now, what is also interesting, I'm going to try and... Oh, here, Jandre, if we go to the middle of the road, actually to the right of the middle of the road, there is a huge, beautiful male that I want to pop out, because the reason why, just here on the right-hand side, the reason why I want to showcase him is he actually is old enough and big enough, that one as well, but this one here just on the right, is old enough and big enough to, where he should be having his own territory. Yeah, there's a little bit of a bush, sorry. We're creeping. There's some big boys here. Oh, sorry, but ooh. So I'm also wondering if maybe some of these males had territories and then were ousted and are now back into the satellite herd business, which can happen. I'm actually liking this one here. His horns are almost touching. And remember, as it gets darker, they can't actually see well, so they get very nervous. They're using their sense of smell and their hearing, but it's quite a windy evening. So if they can't see because it's dark, and then it's windy, which means they can't smell or hear properly, it's going to be a tough, long, say 11 hours for them to function in their ecosystem, and it's prime time for any predators to come and eat them. Again, another reason why we get predators that move when it's clear. The school was on. There we go. That's quite nice. For instance, you know, the books, when you read the books, it says that cheetahs only hunt during the day, but we know just from watching this show that that's not always true. Hunt a lot at night. I've also experienced wild dog hunting at night as opposed to bedding down. And again, we discussed how I've seen leopard hunting in very, very hot weather in the middle of the day. I've also seen lion do it. I watched Pride of Lions kill an eland, feed on it for 4 days, and then when it was 45 degrees Celsius, so what is about 115 degrees Fahrenheit, a warthog came up close enough to them when they were napping in the middle of the day. They got up, killed it, and then sort of left it there and ate it later. So everything is very variable. Okay, I am still keen for a porcupine or a pangolin, so we're going to leave our little water buckies and we're going to carry on with our search, meander, as it were. He's managed to pick up.
Right, we are now live. Sorry about the sudden jump away from her to him. We're just doing a last circle of quarantine in the last few minutes of the drive. I do not see the father of the new babies. And I do see a lot of brown grass, and I'm hoping quite desperately that there will be some moisture out of the sky over the course of the weekend. It is certainly greying up a bit, so maybe we'll be lucky. Some impala. There they are. Bella Rose, you want to know what it is that I like very best about living in the bush. It is the fact that when I roll out of bed, I am no more than 10 steps from where I have to go to the office. That is one of the best things in the world. I do not ever have to engage in the rat race of rush hour. It's marvellous. That's one of the things. I guess from a bush point of view, excuse me a sec, I was losing Louise. From a bush point of view, it's waking up with the sun every day and seeing it go down every day. I've always found that something of a tremendous honour and a tremendously pleasant thing, because in the cities, of course, we don't get that. And where I grew up, I never used to want to get up before the sun came up, but now I really struggle to get up after the sun comes up, which is very nice indeed. We are going to call it quits for the evening. I think we've had an extremely successful evening. 3 leopards, hopefully even more in the little hole there. So a big thank you to Senzo, who is dressed like a Maasai today. He is in fact a Zulu, so I'm not sure why he's dressed like a Maasai. Anyway, and a big thank you of course to Scott and Tayla and Louise in the final control, and Noel on the other vehicle here, and all their assorted cameramen, but mostly to all of you for all your questions and comments. We will see you tomorrow at 05:30.